Got it. Just let me know when you're ready, Sue.
We are live.
Okay, it is now 4:33 p.m. The Public School Retirement System of the City of St. Louis Board of Trustees meeting, December the 18th, 2023, is now in session, and I'm going to ask for the roll call, Sue.
Angela Banks, Christina Bennett, Lewis Cross,
Present.
Sheila Goodwin,
Present.
Shanice Johnson,
Present.
Donna Jones, Yvette Levy, Yvette, are you there?
She said present.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Martell Mann,
Present.
Bobby Richardson, Albert Sanders, and Doris Walker.
Present.
All right, so we do have 6. We have enough for a quorum.
Okay. We're going to start with the approval of the minutes of the last meeting, which is in tab 1, Board of Trustees regular meeting, October the 23rd. Can I get a motion to accept those minutes?
Sheila Goodwin makes a motion that we accept the minutes of the previous meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's probably moved in second by Doris Walker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Okay, that passes. Reading of communications to the Board of Trustees. Sue, do we have any?
I do not have anything.
Okay, presentations of interested parties. Do we have that, Sue?
I don't have anything.
Okay, approval of retirement and benefits for November and December of 2023. Can I get a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept the retirement benefits for November, December 2023.
Is there a second?
Goodwin seconds.
Okay, it's been probably moved in Trustee Goodwin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, that passes. Okay, approval of refunds and bills for October and November of 2023. Can I get a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept the refunds and bills for October and November 2023.
Is there a second?
Goodwin second.
It's been probably moved by Trustee Goodwin at second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, that passes. Do we have any unfinished business, Sue?
The only thing I would put under unfinished business is what I sent out on Friday regarding, there was discussion at the last meeting regarding Express Scripts and, how they handle lost medication. So I did send the note out. Gallagher had done some research on that. And so they had, sent along a message, and then I shared that with the trustees that, basically a prescription could be refilled if it was stolen or lost, but there's a process for that. And if we have any individuals, any specific examples,
okay, hang on.
look into it a little bit further.
Okay, so there's a process. So would there be a charge for that process?
No, I mean, there's just a process where they would need to work with a patient care advocate. And they would determine, you know, the address, make sure they had the address, how much medication they had. And they cannot exceed 2 lost fills within 180 days. So if they
Okay,
contact within 45 days of shipment and they haven't exceeded 2 lost fills within 180 days, then they would reissue the medication.
I see. 45 days of shipment.
Yeah, they have to notify within 45 days of shipment. And then they can't have done this more
No
than 2
more,
times in the last 180 days.
no more than twice in 180 days.
Yes.
I don't know if that's quite happening.
I didn't, somebody said something. I heard somebody say something, or did I? Okay, all right. So are there any comments or concerns concerning that? All right, so then we'll move on to the report of the chairperson, and we have the election of the chairperson and vice chair. So at this time, Sue, I'll let you take that over.
Oh, okay. So I guess the floor would be open for nominations for chairperson.
Oh,
I'd like to nominate my Lewis Cross III for chairperson for the public school retirement system of the city of St. Louis.
Second.
Okay, and are there any additional nominations? Any nominations or any other nominations? I should say. And I guess Louis usually say 3 times, so I guess I'll ask again if there are any other nominations. Okay.
third time's the charm.
Yeah, and also 3 strikes you out too. Okay, so
Okay.
now we're well. Thank you all so much.
So
Now we're
Chairman
now,
Cross will be reelected by acclamation then.
Acclamation.
well, thank you all so much. Now we have the election of the vice chairperson.
I
Okay,
nominate Bobby Richardson.
I second.
and I think Yvette, did you have a question or a comment?
I can't hear her. Are you on mute, Yvette?
And she's not on mute, but
I don't see her. Okay. So was there a question that Yvette had? Okay.
I don't know, I think she had her hand raised.
There she
Yeah,
is.
Oh, there she is on
There
camera.
she is.
No,
there she is. Are you on mute?
oh, having trouble with your mic?
Okay. You want
All
to
right.
call me and tell me what it is? Okay.
Okay.
All
Use
right.
your sign language.
All right. So
Okay, so we have a nomination for Bobby Richardson. And are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Well, if there are no other nominations, then it would appear that Bobby Richardson is reelected by acclamation.
okay. All right. I I already chatted with Sue concerning the benefits packages, and so normally Sue said that we budget about $2 million for that, and this year we are going to save over $1 million because of Medicare Advantage. And so I have to commend Sue and staff for that happening, because normally we would be spending that amount of money at $80 per retiree. And so that's a substantial savings. And everybody is from the luncheons that I've gone to with the retirement retirees of St. Louis Public School System, they are very pleased with the offerings and packages that we have. And so I have to commend the trustees that are over the benefits package and the staff, Sue and all of the staff, for doing such a fantastic job. We are saving money, and this is what it's all about: saving money and providing positive and benefits so that our retirees will have fantastic benefits at low cost. And so I'm very pleased with that. I did have a question about the Express Scripts, and I'm glad to hear that Express Scripts has a policy in place, because I had gotten some feedback that some of our members had lost had porch pirates take medications off the porch, and they were not able to be reimbursed. So I'm glad that there's a policy in place for that. And I just want to say thank you all for your attendance. I never do keep up with percentages of attendance, but for the most part, we have very good attendance. We have never had a meeting canceled because of lack of a quorum, and that's very important. And I'd like to again thank you all and wish all of you all a happy holiday and a happy New Year. Okay, Sue, report of the executive director.
And Mr. Chairman, before we do that, Trustee Richardson is now joined. So I don't know.
Okay. Okay, Bobby, is she there?
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Yes, I'm here. Where
Congratulations.
I'm at on the agenda.
Congratulations.
On what?
Surprise.
Yeah, Bobby, we had the election, and I think the speech that you made about what you would do this year if you were vice president, it really got you some votes. So you've been reelected, and I've been reelected chairman. Okay.
And thank you all. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Well, congratulations, Bob. All right. Was there anything else, Sue?
Yeah. So always this time of year, we do have to look at our meeting schedule for next year. So let me get that up. And all right. So for 2024, this is the, just looking at the calendar based on what we did this year in 2023. So we do have starting out in February, because President's Day falls on the normal third Monday. We typically have been meeting on the fourth Monday, so that would be February 26th. Skipping to April 15th, that's the third Monday, along with June 17th, that's the third Monday. Now, August 19th, I'm not sure. I tried to look at the calendar for SLPS to see when the first day of school was, so I wasn't sure if August 19th would be the first day of school. We kind of had that issue this year, so I'm not sure if any of the trustees know any proposed dates. It didn't appear that I found even a proposed calendar out there yet to kind of see if August might be an issue And then October, we've sometimes had to switch because of parent-teacher conferences, so I didn't really have any guidance there, so I just stuck with the third Monday, and then December 16th. So those are the dates, but again, if anybody has any other information on the calendar, you know, that might go into our consideration as well.
Okay.
Okay, so I may just FYI, in October around that time we have parent teacher. So we'll let you know if we have to change that day.
Okay. And
And the same for the first day of school.
does anybody know when that first day of school is?
The board doesn't even know when it's the first
Not
day
yet.
of school.
Yeah, not yet.
And I had to calendar.
What'd you say, Bobby?
I said we had to check the calendar, not yet. I'm not sure the date
Okay,
yet.
they have not approved the schedule for the upcoming school year yet. Is that right?
No.
Yeah, they do have
They
the
haven't
calendar,
done
but I don't
anything.
have it in front of me.
I see. Okay.
Okay.
Well, we're always flexible, and if there's some problem with trustees attending because of parent-teacher conferences or holidays or whatever, we can always make adjustments, and we just have to. If you know of anything, just bring it up.
Okay, for the August first day of school, the calendar is out. The 2023-24, but the calendar only goes up to June. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, we certainly can review it in February if there's, you know, any changes to the date, or if we have a proposed calendar out there, we could certainly revisit these dates.
Okay.
Mhm.
We want to just move forward again. That was included in the packet, but if we wanted to.
So I make a motion to approve the calendar for the next program year as has presented in today's meeting.
There's a second.
Richardson second.
Okay. All in favor? We're gonna do a roll call vote.
Yeah, we would do a roll call unless there's any further discussion.
Any further discussion on that? Okay, Sue, you ready?
Okay. Christina Bennett,
Yes.
Lewis Cross,
Yes.
Sheila Goodwin,
Yes.
Shanice Johnson,
Yes.
Yvette Levy, let's see here.
Her computer's on mute. She can't come out of it.
Yes, there's something wrong with it, and she was saying that she couldn't talk.
Okay, yeah, I don't see her now. All right. Martell Mann,
Yes.
Bobby Richardson,
Yes.
Albert Sanders,
Yes.
and Doris Walker.
Yes.
Okay. So we have 8, the motion carries. Let's see. All right. So wanted to cover that item. Also, we do have to look at our business insurance. A couple of those items do come up for renewal. So I did include in the packet a memo and walk through those. So right now, we are looking at the renewals for the workers' comp and the property insurance. Those are the 2 renewals that are expiring at the end of December. So just a little bit of an increase with the with the property. And again, that's largely due to, you see these coverage limits, they always get bumped up. So our building has a little bit more valuation on it. And then the property in the building has more valuation as well. So I think this increase is about 7%. The workers' comp looks like it's showing a decrease right now. There's no changes in the coverage. Again, both of these are with Hartford. I think typically what happens with the workers' comp is we file, well, basically they do an audit sometime at the beginning of the year. And then it's kind of then they might give us a little invoice. I think last year it was maybe $100 or so that we had to pay after the fact. So, you know, it's showing as a decrease right now. It may be that when we do that audit early in 24, that it might come back, that it would, you know, even up to what it is right now. We are also actually talking with Gallagher about trying to sync up these renewals with the other business insurance that we have, which is our crime insurance and our fiduciary. Those expire in July. So what Gallagher is proposing, and we haven't gone out to market for the property and the workers' comp, I think, in some time. So what Gallagher is proposing is that we, you know, look at going out to market in, you know, about 6 months or so, and then getting a short-term policy now, but then kind of getting a full year in July. And then we would only have to look at the business insurance primarily once a year. Cyber is going to probably always be a little unique, but we could cover the property, the workers' comp, the crime, and the fiduciary. We could cover that all at the same time. So I think, you know, if we move forward with these coverages as is, I think we'll have an opportunity to look at the market and see if there's any possibility of any savings anywhere with these policies. So any questions on those two? Okay. So then that would be, go back here. So we have number 2 there for the business insurance.
You need a motion on each one of these, Sue?
For number 2, it would just be all the renewal of both of them together. Workers' comp, property liability.
All right. So someone want to read the motion?
Okay. To accept, wait a minute. Which one? Number 1, number 2?
Number 2, yes, sure.
Okay. To accept the renewals of workers' compensation and property liability coverage with Hartford. Make a
Second.
motion to.
Is there a
Okay,
second?
go ahead.
I second.
Okay, discussion? Any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Okay, we're ready for the roll call vote.
All right, Christina Bennett,
Yes.
Lois Cross,
Yes.
Sheila Goodwin,
Yes.
Shanice Johnson,
Yes.
Yvette right there. Okay. Martell Mann,
Yes.
Bobby Richardson,
Yes.
Albert Sanders,
Yes.
Doris Walker.
Yes.
Okay, so again, we have 8. The motion carries.
Okay.
So the next item is regarding the cyber liability coverage. That policy, and let me get the memo back up. So that policy is renewing in February 1st. And so we don't know right now what's happening with that coverage. So we have an application that is being renewed or being reviewed right now. We changed providers last year. We had quite an increase from renewal last year was 18,451, and that was up from, I believe we had 7,000 the year previous. And that was really just what was available in the market. They had looked at a number of providers. What Gallagher is saying is that this year is going to be, they think, a more stable year. They think that the market's been very steady the last few years, but that they're seeing some stability come into the market. So they are not projecting a huge increase, but I did, we have to be prepared for some sort of an increase. So I did include, when we talked about it at the budget meeting last week, I have budgeted $25,000. So that was what I was going to ask the trustees to allow us to continue working with Sampo to renew that. And then if it comes in at, the renewal comes in at 25,000 or less, then we would be able to go ahead and move forward. Because again, that policy expires on January 31st. And so, that's before our next board meeting, our February board meeting. Hopefully it's going to stay pretty close to where we are right now. But again, we have no way of knowing. Last year, the increase was quite significant. So, and I'll just show you the motion that I have drafted for that.
And Sue, while you're getting that, what does the coverage entail?
So,
is it 500,000 or is it $1 million or what?
We have that. There would be no changes. I guess I would, kind of want to comment on that more in closed session if we needed to.
Okay.
Those limits, but there would be no changes. We would want to keep what we have right now.
Okay, I understand. We can do it in closed session.
Yeah, if there's questions about that, we can move forward, but we wouldn't, we wouldn't make any changes to that. We would simply want to, we would simply want to continue on with the coverage that we have.
Okay.
So this is just really preparing us for the premium, not changing any of the coverages. So I was just asking the trustees to allow us to continue working with Gallagher on this coverage and to allow us to renew. I did, pick the amount, 25,000. The trustees want a different amount, but again, just trying to prepare us for what might come down the road.
Okay, so someone want to read that motion?
Which one, number 3?
Yes.
Number 3, yeah.
Okay, I make a motion to authorize the executive director to work with Gallagher on renewing the current cyber liability coverage, or if needed, conduct a market search to find a new provider, as long as the annual cost of coverage does not exceed $25,000.
Is there a
Richardson,
second? Okay, Trustee Richardson has probably moved that in second. We'll take a roll call vote.
Christina Bennett?
Yes.
Lewis Cross?
Yes.
Sheila Goodwin?
Yes.
Shanice Johnson?
Yes.
Yvette Levy?
Yeah, excuse me, yes.
Martell Mann,
Yes.
Bobby Richardson,
Yes.
Albert Sanders, lost Albert, Doris Walker.
Yes.
Okay, so again, we have 8 yes votes. The motion carries.
Okay.
And then the only other thing that I wanted to mention is that I did include in the packet that report related to the pension administration software and working forward on that project. And I don't know if anyone had any questions about that. We did discuss it somewhat at the budget meeting last week. But again, the report is really just to kind of show where we are right now and the recommendations that the consultant has. Next steps going forward would be to look at doing an RFP. That probably wouldn't go out until maybe March or so. So we can talk about it more when we have that RFP. It's a pretty complicated document, but we can work with the trustees on that when we have a little bit more information. But that would be the next step in the process. The consultant was in, kind of shadowed our processes, and you know, is recommending that we move forward. Obviously, doing that, you know, is going to be a lengthy process, and we would work with the trustees along the way. But this report kind of lays down some of the groundwork. It does a nice job of kind of summarizing our processes and perhaps what some of the needs are going forward. So I didn't know if any of the trustees had any questions or comments about that document.
I think we talked about the overall cost being about 4 million. Is that right, Sue?
That's just an estimate at this point. Yes. So the
Okay.
first phase of that would be probably we in 2024 could spend somewhere around 650,000 or so. And then the total cost would be paid out over time. But again, that's just an estimate until we go out for RFP and see the responses. We don't know for sure what that cost is.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right. Report of the actuary.
So we, yeah, and we don't have an investment consultant. We don't have.
That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, we don't have investment. We voted not to have that. So,
Yeah.
Report of the actuary.
So we do have Mike Ribble and Matt Stayback here this evening, and they are here to talk about the interest crediting. And if the trustees remember, the trustees, we talked about this for the last time, or for the first time, I guess, we did talk about that rate and what we wanted that rate to look like. So they are back. It's been a whole year since the trustees took action, and so they are back to talk to us a little bit more. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike and Matt, and I think, Mike, if you want, I can put the document up, or if you want to, I think you should be able to, Mike or Matt, share your screen.
Okay. So we're right on. See it fine?
You can see it?
Great. All right. So yeah, Sue mentioned we were here last December. We were here to talk about the participant interest crediting rate. And so we just, we made a change last year we'll talk about, and we just wanted to revisit that every year for now, unless a different path is chosen. But basically, before we jump into it, just wanted to remind the board what we're talking about here. We're talking about interest crediting rate on member contributions. So they're credited with an annual interest every year. Active employees is credited during employment. And then once the members terminate, they have their employment, they still have a balance. If they're non-vested, that they keep their balance until they request a refund, and it receives the interest credits as well. If you're vested, you're more likely never going to get a refund of contributions unless you request it, because you actually get that monthly benefit when you retire. And then, of course, for participants electing annuity payments, it doesn't come into play much unless the retiree dies prior to receiving enough payments to have gotten the value of those balances back. But for the most part, it applies to the balances of the member contributions as they go in, and then what's going to be paid out if somebody leaves before they're vested. The rate was at 5% for a long time, many years. I don't know how many years, but many years, over 10. Last year, interest rates were a lot lower, and the board, we reviewed this similar deck with the board. Based on they provided information provided, decided to lower that interest rate from 5% to 2%. That was in the December 2022 board meeting, and that was based on the balances at January 2023, but it's going to be payable in here at the end of the year, in December 31st. The 2% will be payable. So what we're here to talk about today is, okay, well, we set at 2% for that payment, but when we get to January 1st, 2024 balance, and then pay next December, what rate? How do we want to set the rate for next year? So moving on, we reviewed all these considerations last year, so I'm not going to go through them a lot, but we'll see some graphs on the next couple of slides, but for the next slide. But basically, interest rates have moved up a little bit since last time, so that might be a consideration that you might want to think about. Inflation rates, which a lot of people look at when they're talking about crediting these rates, are 3% for the last 3.2% for the last 12 months, 4% on average for the last 5 years, and 2.8% over the last 10 years. So that we bolded that. That's new information, most recent. And then on the next slide, we've updated kind of where the treasury rates are. We think these are important to keep track of when we're thinking about interest crediting. They're all over the place. They've been back in 18, they were down at 2% over 52 weeks, 3% at on the 30-year treasury rate. And then as of this time
because I have the thing in my car. Or do you have a thing in your?
Chris, you need to mute.
Oh, okay. Are you getting out? Hold on. Oh.
No worries. All right. So, but they kind of shot up a lot over the last few years. Everyone knows interest rates are up. So when we met last year, it kind of almost spiked up to 4 and 5%, and then even throughout 2023, they've spiked above 5% for the 52-week and hit 5% right about for the 30-year treasury. In November was a really big drop. Maybe they're going to keep dropping. I know that there's been some signaling that maybe interest rates are going to drop over the next year or so. But the 30-year treasury rate during November was a 4.66% average, and it's been at 2.73% for since 2018. And the 52-week is a 5.28% monthly average during November. So that's the latest information, and it's averaged that 2% over since 2018. It's just basically to say that, yeah, interest rates were low. They spiked up a lot. The board had changed it, the 5% to 2% when we were kind of down in here, and then we spiked back up. So something to think about. We talked about last year 2 options for setting the rate, either to fix the rate at a certain percentage, which is what we did, or to look at these 52 weeks and set it to some index that changes every year automatically. Since we set it to a fixed percentage, remember we changed it from what it was 5% for a long time, and we set it just to a flat 2%. We thought we would revisit what the other plans are doing, similar to what we did. The one change that was made was to the public schools employees and education employee retirement system. So they changed, they were at 2%, and they did change as of June 30th, 2023 to be at 4% for interest crediting. So that was interesting. They did acknowledge that increase in interest rates to increase it from 2 to 3%. The other option is to, besides changing the fixed rate manual process every year, is to set it to an index and then review it from time to time, but it'll automatically be calculated by the indexes. And that would be similar to what these, if you set it to an index, we would just look at this index and set it to that as appropriate. So with that said, we have, these are the recommended options for the board to consider. I think the board should discuss and talk about the options. Yes, go ahead. Is that a question?
No.
Okay, sorry. I thought you said, all right, so these are the three options we thought the board should discuss and consider. One is just no change. They lowered it from, it was at 5% for a long time, they lowered it to 2%. And despite the spike, you know, the board could just keep it at 2% for 2024. So the second option would be to change it, because I think last year they were following what the state PSER system did. The board changed it to 2% because they were 2%. We see on the prior slide that the PSER system upped it to 4% June 30th, 2023. So the board could consider upping the 2% 4%, or again, change it to be one of these options like 52-week treasury, like some of the other systems we saw are doing. And this option, we recommend capping it at 5% or flooring it at 0 or 1% or something. But again, those are the options. What we're talking about again is the December 2024 interest crediting, but it's made to the balance at the end of the year, at the end of this year. So I call it the January 1st, 2024 balance, or the balance of December 31st, 2023. So before discussion, last year we did change it from 5 to 2. It did decrease the actuarial accrued liability by $700,000 because we were assuming less of an increase. This board, so whatever the board decides may change this a little bit as well. I don't think it'll bounce all the way back up no matter what we do, because if you change it in multiple years, we're probably not going to fall. It will probably just set the assumption to a long-term assumption, something like 2.5%. But that's just a note that whatever you do may have, it has the impact of affecting the participants and what interest crediting they get, and then it has a little bit of an impact on the valuation. But you're talking about, compared to the rest of the liabilities of the plan, this is a very small decision as far as the valuation and the funding of the plan. So with that, is there any questions?
Mike, I have a question. Okay. When we reduced it from 5% to 2%, how did that impact the bottom line with the PSRSP SL, with the pension, our pension? How did that impact in terms of what we pay out?
Well, we pay out. So in about 8 days or 12 days, 13 days, I guess, on December 31st, there's going to, instead of giving a 5% interest credit, it's going to be a 2% interest credit to active employees' balances and those that have left the service, but they still have a balance. They're only going to get a 2% credit on December 31st for last year's decision. Now, the decision we're talking about today is a year from now, you know, what interest credit to make for that purpose.
Okay.
So it affected the participants in that way.
Okay. So you said that we could do 2% again, or we could do 4%. What helps us to determine what's best for the pension board and our members?
You know, there's different boards take different views. There's other options as well. I mean, the options are endless, right? I mean, in the long term, if you're investing for the long term and you have your assets are invested for the long term, we might say right now your current inflation rate assumption is 2.5%, for example. So there's lots of options out there. I don't know what, we see different plans do different things. We don't have a specific recommendation, I guess. If you think about a long-term decision, and you think over the next 30 years, it might average 2% or 2.5%, you might just keep it at that rate. If you want to credit based on what's actually happening, so the fund is going to, for the part of the fund investments that are invested in bonds, that it might get interest credits. They might get a higher interest credit because rates went up from, as I showed, from like 2% to 5% over the last few years. So that's kind of where this is kind of following the market. This changed to 4%. That would be like, well, we think the board should provide a market interest rate to its members each year and follow the market. As opposed to just setting it at a certain rate. They set it at 2% last year and leaving it that rate, or moving it to 2.5% this year, but with the intention of this is a long-term decision. So, I think I hate to give you, there's other decisions like just setting it, like I said, you could set it to exactly the market rate and have it automatically move. But if you're going to review it each year, I would recommend either you think of it as a long-term rate and you're going to keep it kind of on the lower range. I think we said the average over the past since 18 was 2% and 2.7. So you're keeping it that lower range, or are you going to react every year and move it with what the current market earnings are being? So I'll leave it to two choices without answering your question. Which one I recommend.
I see.
Yeah. Louis, can I provide some comments and feedback?
Yeah, Chris. Yeah, sure.
So I don't know for how many years. So these balances are balances that when people leave, they don't take their money with it. They are not vested and they leave it here, right? And so so we are not, again, by default, we become their investment manager. And before we used to forever, I could never get this down to lower than 5%. So we moved it from 5% to 2%. And the Fed just announced in the last meeting that they are going to drop rates 3 times in 2024. So I recommend we leave it at 2% and not try to play with the market or index it or anything, because then it's just a lot of movement, and we want to keep our actuarial numbers steady and knowing what's predictable. And if it's at 2%, it's at 2%. But really, what I'd ask Andrew in the past or the previous executive director is to really locate these people and have them move their money. While the balances they're not that large, they're not going to change. We need to get that money off our books because it's really a liability for us when it comes to what we owe people, and they should be investing their money. If they're not vested, they should be taking that money and investing it elsewhere so that they can't come back to us and say, I should have gotten more return. You're not vested. The money that we have should be for those that are vested in our pension plan. So I recommend that we leave it at 2% and not try to, index it and change it every single year. When it was against our favor, we kept it at 5 for years, and we need to make this as easy as possible, and I recommend leaving it at 2.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
And I just wanted to comment that we have started working on trying to move some of the balances. We worked with Buck to do a campaign. We sent out a postcard in October. We sent out 1,100 postcards to individuals that had balances, I think, between $1,000 and $5,000 or up to $10,000 actually, to try to get that smaller from 5 to 10 to get that group to move. And we did get some responses, but I think we only had about 30 people actually submit so far to move their money. So we're going to continue doing that. We're going to work with Buck on doing another round, another communication, another group. So we're going to try to keep whittling away at that number those who are not vested that have a balance with us to try to get them off the books.
Thanks, Sue.
Louis, you're on mute.
Okay, when you take your money out, let's say you're not vested, what are the penalties involved in taking that money? Let's say you have 10 grand, you're not vested. What are the penalties that will impact on that $10,000, if there are any?
So if you roll it into another retirement account, then you pay no tax. There's no penalty.
Yeah, you can roll it to a Schwab or a Fidelity or anything. It's just filling out paperwork, and it goes institution to institution or IRA, from a 403b to an IRA.
Okay.
And there's no penalty when it's done electronically. If you say give it to me and they choose, to just pay it directly to them, then they will have taxes due on that. But that's their choice by selecting it being paid to them directly.
Are there any penalties that they have to pay the pension board to take your money out?
No.
If they want their money? And if so, what are the penalties?
And there's no penalties to us. They're just, that's their time. And now if they think they're going to come back and work within our system somewhere, then they would have to buy back that service later, maybe if they come back to work and they've taken those contributions.
I see.
But
okay.
That's really up to them to decide.
Okay, great. Well, are we ready, Mike? Are we ready to develop a motion for this?
There's no other questions.
Christine, did you want to make a motion?
Oh, I wish I could, but I'm driving. I guess somebody can make it and put 2% in there.
Yeah, I will. Let's see. I do have one, Mike, if you want to.
Oh, yeah.
Stop your share.
There you go.
Okay. All right, so we're at that number. Now, I did say change. I apologize for that. So you wouldn't, if we're keeping it at 2%, we would just, say to keep the interest crediting rate at 2%.
Okay. So did someone want to read the motion?
I'll read it. The change to keep the interest rate crediting rate to 2%, which would be first applied in December 24 to the January 24 balances, with the interest rate being reviewed annually by the trustees as recommended by the actuary.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. We do a roll call vote, Sue?
Yep. Christina Bennett?
Yes.
Louis Cross?
Yes.
Sheila Goodwin?
Sheila, you're on mute. Yes. She said yes.
Yes.
She has her hand up.
Yes.
Shanice Johnson?
Yes.
Yvette Levy?
Yes.
Martell Mann?
Yes.
Bobby Richardson?
Yes.
Albert Sanders?
Yes.
Doris Walker?
Yes.
All right, so we do have 9. The motion carries.
Okay.
So thank you, Mike and Matt, for joining us this evening and going through that presentation.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Go ahead, Sue.
I'm saying good holiday to Mike and Matt. Thank you.
Yes, Mike.
Yes,
And
thank
thank
you
you
all
all
of you.
again.
Thank you.
Thank you all again for your expert services. We really appreciate you so much.
Right.
And you all have a happy holiday. You
Thank
and your
all of
family.
you. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to report of committees of the board, benefits and benefits. That would be Donna Jones and Shanice Johnson.
I have just a quick comment. Give me 1 second so that my eyes can focus. There were a number of Medicare eligible individuals, as we already know, that moved from the commercial plan to the Medicare Advantage plans. We're going to continue to work to move individuals to the Medicare Advantage plan, since those are specifically designed for individuals who currently has Medicare. Individual letters were sent to those Medicare eligible members enrolled in the plan. During open enrollment, the insurance specialist met individually with many of the retirees to explain the plans and determine if it would be beneficial to move them to the UHC Medicare Advantage plans. Additionally, there was also an increase in the number of individuals enrolled in the prepaid legal and identity theft coverages. That is our report.
Okay, thank you, Shanice. Trustee business, Sheila Goodwin and Angie Banks. Sheila, do you have a report? I don't know. Do you have a report? Okay, all right, there it is.
He was on mute, but we did have a couple of items to follow up from last week's meeting. I just wanted to note that we had shared the trustee travel expenses, but we had a couple of additional expenses that are submitted, so I wanted to share that updated expense for the year, which was 17,000. The travel expenses alone, 17,159.29, and then we had the registration piece, which was going to be 30,000. Total. We added $13,460 in registration, so that was a total of $30,619.29. And there was a question about what were the expenses last year, and so that's noted here at the bottom. That's the $24,844.36.
Okay. Okay, any questions or comments? All right, thank you, Sheila and Angie. We'll move on to.
We would need to do this. We would need to do a motion though, because it was recommended by the committee. But
oh, right. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Sue. All right. Can we have a motion to accept the travel expenses as submitted by the executive director?
I make a motion that we accept this report on the expenses.
Richardson, accept.
Richardson, second. Okay, it's been probably moved in second. We're going to do a roll call vote.
Hey, Christina Bennett.
Yes.
Lois Cross.
Yes.
Sheila Goodwin.
Yes.
Shanice Johnson.
Yes.
Yvette Levy.
Yes.
Martell Mann.
Yes.
Bobby Richardson.
Yes.
Albert Sanders.
Yes.
Doris Walker.
Yes.
All right, so we do have 9. The motion carries. And then the other item was the budget. And let me get that motion up. So that would be number 6.
Okay.
Are we making a motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I would like to make a motion to approve the 2024 operating budget as recommended and accepted by the Trustee Business Committee at a meeting on December 13, 2023.
Bennett second. Bennett
Okay.
second.
All right. Any questions? Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay, Doris.
In the package for the operating budget, does that include the salaries for the staff too?
It does, it does.
Can we discuss that?
Not in open session.
Okay.
We have to go into executive session to discuss that. So is there some language to go into executive session for that? Motion, I'm sorry, Sue.
I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss the operating budget for 2024 as discussed at a business committee meeting on December 13, 2023.
Second.
And do we want to do this maybe as part of the attorney report or?
Yeah, I was just going to note that to go into closed session, we have to cite to a specific provision of the Sunshine Law. And the only item on the notice for the Sunshine Law was a discussion with the attorney. So if you want to lump it into my report, we can discuss it then.
Agreed.
Okay, so we will.
Can someone who made the motion cancel the motion, please?
Yeah, well, okay, great. Then the motion is canceled. We'll incorporate that into the executive session with the legal presentation. Okay. Christina Bennett and Dr. Albert Sanders, Investment Committee report.
No report.
There is, I'm sorry. Trustee Bennett, there is one item.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sue. Did you say something, Sue?
Yeah, there's one item on securities lending from the investment committee meeting.
Okay.
Albert,
does someone want
that motion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Albert, can you read that?
Dr. Sanders, can you read that motion, please?
I make a motion to select TUFJ Trust and Banking Corporation. Hold on, I'm sorry. To provide security lending services effective January 1, 2024, as recommended by the Investment Committee and Investment Consultant.
There's a second.
Second.
Okay, let's do a roll call vote.
Okay, Christina Bennett?
Yes.
Lewis Cross?
Yes.
Sheila Goodwin?
Yes.
Shanice Johnson?
Yes.
Yvette Levy?
Yes.
Martell Mann?
Yes.
Bobby Richardson?
Yes.
Albert Sanders? And then Doris Walker.
Yes.
So we do have 8, the motion carries.
Okay, we'll go on to legislative rules and regulations. Yvette Levy and Doris Walker.
The only thing legislative wise, I was waiting on Matt to give us some information on what they're planning on doing towards the pension. I went online today, but I didn't see anything.
Okay, well, I guess that'll be incorporated in Matt's report. Is that right, Matt?
Right.
Okay. All right. And now we'll move on to personnel and professional contracts. Bobby Richardson and Martell Mann, November the 9th, 2023.
Okay. At the November the 9th Personnel and Professional Contract Committee, the trustee decided that they wanted to conduct an interview with all 6 of the firms that submitted responses to the PSR SSTL attorney RFP. The trustees agreed that they would like to conduct these interviews with the goal of making a decision at the February board meeting. We will need to schedule the interview in 2 hours increments for a total of 6 hours. At tonight's regular board meeting, we might want to discuss if the trustees would prefer to spread those meetings over 3 weeks or have 1 week with more than one meeting. We look at some potential dates. So we appreciate you looking at your calendar to see if these might work. So some of the possible dates are Wednesday, January 24th, Thursday, January 25th, Wednesday, January 31st, Thursday, February the 1st, Wednesday, February the 2nd, or Thursday, February the 8th. So you can let Susan and myself know if you agree with these dates. And I think, Susan, you're going to send something out in writing to like a reminder.
Yeah, and I guess just a sense for whether the trustees would like to do, you know, one meeting a week or whether they'd like to do 2 meetings in a week, and just a sense for what people would like to do.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. And that's the end of our report.
All right. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Martell. All right. Is there any new business, Sue?
I don't have anything.
Okay, then we'll turn it over to our general counsel. Matt, you have the motion to go into executive session. Ready?
Yes, I believe Sue has that.
Okie doke. Someone want to read that?
I make a motion to close the meeting and that all records and votes to the extent permitted by law pertaining to and or resulting from the closed meeting be closed under RS MO 610.0211 and 12 for the purpose of having confidential or privileged communication with the legal counsel for the PSRSSTL on legal matters.
Richardson, second.
Okay, we're gonna do a roll call.
Christina Bennett,
Bennett, yes.
Lois Cross,
Yes.
Sheila Goodwin,
Yes.
Shanice Johnson,
Yes.
Yvette Levy,
Yes.
Martell Mann,
Yes.
Bobby Richardson,
Bobby, are you on mute?
Albert Sanders,
Yes.
Doris Walker.
Yes.
And Bobby? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Bobby, if you voted on the motion.
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. All right, so we do have 9. Motion carries. New things.
You know, one more little comment here.
Okay, we're going live.
Go
All
ahead.
right, Sheila.
No. Go ahead. I'll tell you later.
All right. We're coming out of closed session, so.
Sorry, I'd already pushed the. I already hit
Right.
Just make sure we're back. Okay, I think we are back.
All right, so at this point, we're gonna now vote on the approval of the operating budget for 2024. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the total, we approve the operation budget as recommended and accepted by the Trustees Business Committee at a meeting on December the 13th, 2023.
Is there a second?
Bennett, second.
Richardson, second.
Bennett, I think she got you,
that's a part of
Vice
our-
President. Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote.
Christina Bennett,
Yes.
Lois Cross,
Yes.
Sheila Goodwin,
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes.
Shanice Johnson,
Yes.
Martell Mann,
Yes.
Bobby Richardson,
Yes.
Albert Sanders,
Yes.
and Doris Walker.
Yes.
All right, so we have 8, the motion carries.
Okay. Is there anything else for the good of the body? If not, I'd like to have.
Wait. My little comment was, we really try to make this thing right because we don't want to be in the Post-Dispatch again concerning our money situation. Those who have been there know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Now make a motion that we close the meeting. Is that,
not close it. Adjourn.
Adjourn. I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Because I'm very
Okay.
I'm against it. I think we should go until 6:30.
is
No.
that's also why
No, I have a church meeting in 15 minutes. Okay, well, you all have
regular
a
9 to 5, if you will, or 8 to.
Who's that?
I don't know. But you all, I want to wish everybody a very Merry
Happy
Christmas
holiday.
and a happy holiday to
Happy
everybody.
holidays, everybody.
And thank you all so much for your support this year. And Vice President Bobby Richardson, that speech that you gave really got you over the top this time.
Thank you all.
All right.
All right. See y'all next year.
Sue, thank you again for all of your, and Matt, for all of your fantastic work. We really appreciate how smoothly this operation runs, thanks to you all and your staff. And thank you all so much.
All
I
right.
appreciate all the time you got and effort you guys put in as a board. I know you guys get paid big bucks as a trustee member, but we appreciate all the time and effort you do in making the operation run smooth.
Well, Matt, I just want to say that you're very knowledgeable and you know our pension backwards and forwards, and I really appreciate your service to our pension board. And
Bye, everybody.
Okay.
You as well. For you, Mr. Chairman.
Speeches. My God.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. See you all next year.
All right.
See ya.
See you
Okay.
soon.